Hi, I am Ida from the Darling Wine Shop. We are in the Darling Wine Shop. We started about 7 years ago. We went to the wineries in this area. We thought we really have good wines in this region, and we work very closely with all of the wineries around. We have 4 cellars you can visit, but they're in different directions, and then we have other producers like Neil Ellis, Fairview, Withington, Lanner Hill, and a few other KWV. They all get their grapes from Darling, and we decided to focus really on the Darling wines, the Darling grapes, because it's such a unique region for wine, for us. We're part of the Swartland, and then we have Darling as a separate region. And then in the region we have the Groene Kloof ward. And we mainly focus on Shiraz. We have very good Sauvignon Blanc, very different Sauvignon Blanc. They call it the colder region because we have the sea breeze coming in the evening. It's quite hot during the day, but they cool in the evenings. And then we have very good Chenin, very good Cinsault now coming from here. We don't focus a lot on Cabernets. I think Stellenbosch, that region does very good. And then we try and cater for other people as well. So we try and focus on small producers or special wines that come in, or just to fill the gaps that we don't have in this region. And then, yeah, we're the same price as the sellers. We're not we're in addition to sale. So whether people come to us or they come to the wineries, it's the same thing. We want to share Darling wines with you. The Darlington gin, the idea was it's a classic gin, a really good dry London style gin. But what we've decided to do was, there's a plant that grows in this region. It's called the kukumakranka, and it's a very special plant. The Khoi used to use it. I grew up with it, using it in the house, drying it. It smells amazing. They used to put it in brandy for all sorts of cures. This is the dried fruit. This is actually what it looks like when it's not dried. So how it works is, the plant, first you see the leaves, these curly little leaves, and that disappears. And then for one day only, you see the white flower. And then that disappears. And then I'm not quite sure how many plants in the world actually fruit directly from the soil. So it's a very special, very unique plant, and we decided to pay tribute to that special little, we call it a very mystical plant, because it comes and goes and you have no idea when it, well, you know, but I mean it's so rare and it's such a special plant. Our Darling gin, we decided to do a gin because of this whole gin craze in the world at the moment, and we decided to go back to a really good dry style gin, the type you want to drink on its own, with a flavor tonic, with a few berries, with whatever you want to do. It is really up to you. We wanted to give you a good base gin, and you can do whatever you want. You can experiment, you can play around. The real idea was good quality gives you a good cocktail, even if you drink it on its own or with anything else. I suggest this goes very, very well with a bit of lemon, orange juice, and I'm quite a fan of blueberries and elderflower. Those flavors work for me, not necessarily together, but yeah, they really complement the gin.
I'm Kevin Krill from Darling Meat Market. We're a family butchery. My brother and myself are in the butchery at the moment. My dad bought the place originally about 37 years ago, and then since then he's retired. He's still helps out weekends, every Friday and Saturday. At the age of 82, he still comes and helps out. And then my brother and myself are running the place at the moment. We've got quite a big market. We do a bit of wholesaling as well. We do all the products ourselves, all the processing ourselves, smoking, curing. We do a lot of cured products, and then we supply to over the counter to locals and for people all over the country, all over the province. And then we do quite a few spa shops. We do about 100 spas that buy products from us, and we sell them in these shops again. Mostly pork. We do a lot of pork products, a lot of processed pork products, quite a fair bit of beef, lamb. We do very good local lamb, which we're also very popular for. And sausages. We do smoked sausages, cured sausages, fried sausages, all sorts of different things. Yeah, I don't know what else.
Welcome to Darling. We are sitting in the garden of Darling Lodge Guest House in the historic centre of this old village on South Africa's west coast. It's actually just 1 hour drive north of Cape Town. Very relaxed and very famous for its stunning wines, its wonderful beers, its nature, and of course its cultural activities. Here in Darling, at the Darling Lodge Guest House in the garden, we do open air movies twice a year. The one is taking place end of September, and we are actually part of the Manhattan Short Film Festival, the only venue on the African continent who is joining in with this international film festival. And the other one is usually taking place towards the end of the summer in mid-February. People sit and enjoy open air and just have a glass of wine, have some picnic, and enjoy the scenery of this wonderful garden. Here in Darling on the west coast, we actually have two seasons, two really big seasons. The one starts August, September, and it's the world famous flower season. Since there is indigenous flowers you only find in the Western Cape, and Darling is famous for its private run flower reserve. So farmers in the area, they dedicate some square kilometers of their own private land to the wildflowers. So there's no cattle, there's no harvesting on these fields, it's just wildflowers. It's amazing to see the carpets and the colorful patches of wildflowers in this area. Actually, very nearby here is the West Coast National Park with its wonderful lagoon, and also very famous for its bird life. So when you're up celebrates wintertime and Christmas, we have Yurebirds from Europe here in the Western Cape. They celebrate summer in the West Coast National Park. The second season we celebrate is actually starting mid-December till mid-February. That's the wonderful summer season. It's our summer holidays. The city of Cape Town is pumping and people enjoy the scenery on the West Coast or inland in Darling, have a good time, lying by the pool, having a good glass of wine, stunning white wines because we're very close to the Atlantic Ocean, wonderful beers. We have a crafts brewery, Darling Brew, amazing brews they produce, and we have sweets, caramel, they say, in I think it's apparently 12 to 15 different varieties of caramel. They do a fantastic job, and these caramels you get if you check in at Darling Lodge Guest House, since all our guests receive them for free as a little treat on their beds. Then we have our guest rooms. This is the traditional way of being a host in Darling. You see, we have the wonderful copper hot water bottles. We try to have everything in style, country style, and guests usually love it to have a wonderful breakaway from their city life. This is another wonderful grandma style, country style guest room with the old cast iron bed and the old wooden floors. Still from the 1860s, we try to maintain the original condition as long as possible. We also provide Victorian bath tubs in these guest rooms.
Hello, my name is Rene Dutoy. I'm the brewmaster here at Darling Brew. I've been for the last 2.5 years. Darling Brew itself is a little bit older than I've been here. So Darling Brew started as the brainchild of Kevin and Philippa Wood way back in 2009 when they resigned from their jobs, took a trip in their Land Rover up to the east coast of Africa and back. And along that way discovered the world of beer was a lot more interesting than what they thought it was. Okay. Yeah, so from those humble beginnings, way back then, Darling Brew grew as a contract branch, is selling locally in Cape Town, brewing in Cape Town, contract brewing, until this brewery here behind me was built in 2015. That then enabled us to really go national. Now Darling Brew can be found every corner of South Africa, and recently we started exporting to Namibia and Botswana, Zambia, locally in Southern Africa, and even over the water to Austria, to the USA, to Singapore. Even in the British Virgin Islands you'll find some of our beer. Our most famous beers are slow beer. We call it slow beer because at Darling Brew we take our time to make the beer. Good beer should not be rushed, but we're also not limited to just our slow beer, which is a simple lager. We also do very interesting styles. Our second best beer is the Bone Crusher Belgian Wit beer. We have a double IPA at 9%, the Warlord, named after the rhino. As with many of our other beers, it's named after an endangered or threatened species, because we are very keen to raise awareness for conservation of all threatened species around the world.
Hello, my name is Annette van Reineveld and I'm from the small little village of Darling in the Western Cape. I am the actual toffee tannie from Darling Sweet, and the toffee factory belongs to my son and his partner. They started it 5 years ago. My son Fritz came to Darling, fell in love with the place and had an antique shop. But he said that Darling has everything: wine, olives, name it, it's here, but there's nothing rather small that you can take home easily. You can't put a table on top of your car. So he decided to start with a toffee factory producing old-fashioned traditional toffees made by hand. The toffee factory is 5 years old now, and we provide jobs to 22 ladies, and everything is handcrafted. Everything is natural, no preservative or anything synthetic, and as I said, everything done by hand. It is a clean label product. Even the toffee wrappers are made of corn flour. So you can put the wrapper in your compost heap and the worms will have a whale of a time. People love to come here. They're allowed to taste our toffees. We have 10 different flavors of toffees, and then we have 7 different flavors of soft caramels. And people are allowed to taste our toffees and take home whatever they feel like having.